Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the Retired Living Truth seminar series. And today's topic is the truth about planning travel in retirement. So I'm just curious, who has gone and done a fun trip of some sort in the past 12 months? Yeah, maybe half of the room. Very good. And I'm just curious, does travel have to be expensive? Who thinks going somewhere is expensive? Few people, yeah, okay. Maybe yes, maybe no. Depends on where you go, I heard someone just say. And can it sometimes be overwhelming to go and plan a trip? Can it be overwhelming planning all the moving parts and so forth? And do we sometimes go, well, is it really worth it? I'll just stay home. Yeah, I think a few people could relate. So I have some experts who are joining me today who are going to help us understand, does travel have to be expensive? Does it take a lot of planning, or is there others who can help? And what are some of the wonderful places that we can go and travel and enjoy ourselves, and why maybe travel is an important part of our lives? So if I could have my three panelists come up and join me, let me turn on the microphones. So a big welcome to our panelists as they come up. Welcome. So given you're so excited to be here, Patty, let's start with you. Could you introduce yourself, tell the audience who you are, what you do, and why you might be here today?
Sure. Hello. I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much. My name is Patty Drake, owner of Patty's Tours. We're a tour operator. We create design day tours, tours, cruises, and international as well. And all of our tours are fully escorted. So we make sure that someone's with you to make sure that the planning goes well. Yeah.
Thank you, Patty, and welcome. Ken.
My name is Ken Gagline, and my credential is all just being a traveler. These folks are on the supply side and I'm on the demand side, and I'll share some ideas with you that I hope you might find helpful. And if you folks were here last month, you had the death and taxes guys. This month you got the fun people up here. We're going to try and tell you or make some suggestions on what you might do that will lessen the need for those folks.
Thank you so much, Ken. And let me just check yours, Joanne. And Ken wanted to know where the whiskey was. He was paying attention last month and he goes, is there going to be whiskey? I think this one's dead, Joanne. It wasn't you at all. No, yeah. And I did check the batteries and they said they were all good. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Joanne Chadwick with Quail Travel. Actually, I'm not a travel agent. The travel agents are all at a seminar in Las Vegas this week, learning new events and cruises and tours for all of you people to take. So check in and with Quail Travel, and you might find something that you would like to do. But anyway, I'm a Lesion with Quail Travel. I do more marketing than anything, but I've traveled a lot. So I hope I can help you guys.
I know you can, Joanne. And I'll get you just to hold it a little bit closer. Okay. And I might start with you, Joanne. So why is travel important? How does it enrich our lives?
Travel enriches our life, but travel because what we're doing is we're getting out and we're learning new cultures, new events. We're seeing things. You're learning art, what the rest of the world has to offer, what you have in comparison to what the other countries have. What can I say about can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, everyone's looking at me. Can you hear me?
Can everyone hear Joanne okay?
Yeah. Sometimes I talk too loud. Okay, but the adventure history and food, as far as expense, it depends on your destinations. You can range from average to high, but what do you want? And let someone help you build that and get it at a reasonable cost that's good for you. Does that help?
Definitely, Joanne. Thank you. Did you have anything, Patty, you would like to add from the supply side, as Ken said, in terms of how it enriches our lives?
Yes, it enriches our lives. Tour and travel, there's a lot to be seen out there. There's a lot of people to meet, a lot of cuisines to take. or to taste, sorry. But I also find that travel, it kind of gets us out of our home, our apartment, whether you're just going for a day or a multi-night, something to look forward to, some stories to tell. And it's just an all-around great experience, you know, whether you want to travel individually or with a group. But yeah, definitely an enrichment to our lives. Yeah. Now that we're retired, especially.
Absolutely.
Ken, anything you'd like to add? And what about does it have to be expensive? I guess is the other part of the question.
No, it doesn't have to be expensive. You can, I mean, I've done everything from being in a tent in a sleeping bag and sleeping on the ground to very luxurious resorts and ships. So it's what it is that you want to do and what are your expectations. But I want to capitalize a little bit on what Patty said, that it is so enjoyable to come back and to have the stories to tell. You may not tell them to anybody, but you have them, and they're very wonderful and they're very nice to look back on, especially at this part, you know, at this time in their lives.
Who got excited when Ken talked about sleeping on the ground in a tent? I would definitely want to be coming back. That would be enjoyable. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about COVID that's obviously impacted all of us. So what does the audience need to know in terms of being able to travel now domestically and internationally? Do you want to start with that, Joanne?
Sure. The thing that's happening with travel today is the airlines and the destinations are trying to catch up from COVID. They're all trying to get organized. So you need to be patient with them because what they're doing is everything they can to get back to the way it was before COVID hit. The thing also to remember is the service level with COVID are still ever changing. All countries are open now. There might be one or two that haven't allowed visitors in, but basically they're all open and you can travel. Just be flexible and prepared for changes for almost all, because when you go, you might get a flight delayed. You might get lost luggage. You might, more so than probably some of you have experienced in the past, but it does happen, but they're working diligently to get it straightened and back on course so that when you travel, there's nothing but great experiences for all of you.
So would we expect the experience from 5 years ago to be the same if we went back to the same place, or are you suggesting maybe it might not be quite the same, perhaps because of staffing?
There is a problem with the staffing because they laid everybody off because of the COVID. So they're still trying to bring the staffing back up. It should be right back to where it was, but given time, we've done everything we can. They just don't, they've lost a lot of people that have gone to different careers because of COVID and they had to work and they couldn't be off for 2 years, such as on the cruise lines and the airlines. So there's a real big change there. It's going to get back and it's been wonderful. And you folks are going to have the best experience when you travel. And look at it in a positive way and it can only go up, right? Y'all agree with me? Let me know that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Thank you.
Patty, anything you would like to add to that? Is it the same domestic versus international, or are we a little
Yeah, but that's correct. I'm still reading. So she's correct. What you mentioned was that most of the screening is lifted. You don't need to be tested to get back into the States. I always encourage you to take your vaccine card with you, make sure you have that. And if you're more comfortable wearing a mask, bring the mask, always bring the mask with you. I'm also finding that national parks or tribal, intertribal communities are requiring, so kind of carry that as well. But I definitely feel that we are on the downside on this. That we definitely handling it. It's caught COVID lately, but now it doesn't put you in the hospital. It's just a sore throat. Yeah. So thank you for the vaccine. In regards to staffing and what Joy mentioned about staffing is very limited right now, which is a challenge. Right, so bring your patience, bring your smile. But on the upside, the areas that we normally go visit, let's just use London or Paris, they're not as crowded. Yeah, so the crowds aren't there as much as they had been in the past. So I think eventually, like in about a couple of years, it'll work its way back up.
So on that, I asked about, does travel have to be expensive? With less people, is travel less expensive now than perhaps it was, or it might be in the... Oh,
No,
oh,
no.
oh.
One of the things about expenses and travel, but I'm finding the different entities, whether it's air, cruise, land, they're trying to catch up to what they lost for 2 years. So we're trying to catch those back up. So in regards to planes, they are packing those planes more and more. You're going to find an empty seat by you, so kind of get ready for that. Motor coach costs are going up because fuel is going up. Cruises are, I don't know, Jermaine, what do you think about cruises?
Okay, cruises, what they're trying to do is offer a good deal and a discount because they're trying to get you back on the ships. And as we talk about it, we talk about the ocean cruisers, the ships that hold anywhere up to 8,000 people. That's where they can make deals more so than on the river cruises where they're holding 150 to 200 people. Usually got small, but we're going to get into that in a minute. I don't want to rush ahead of the questions, but
Can you just repeat how many of my friends are going to be on the ship with me?
I said 8,000.
8,000. Wow. I didn't know a ship could hold that many. Wow. Didn't realize that.
Yes, we do have cruise ships that hold up to 8,000 people. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I don't, but they're out there.
Yeah, yeah. So Ken, how have your experience changed in the last year or two versus when traveling pre-COVID? What have you noticed?
Well, right, and what is it on?
We're having some... No, we are switched off. Alexa. Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's your name. I thought you were
Yeah.
calling out.
Ah,
Come on, I'm not.
this Alexa's way better than that Alexa.
I'd like to just throw out the idea of perhaps giving yourself an honest assessment of where you are now, physically and mentally, to where you were pre-COVID. And it might be different because it's been a good 2 years since you've done and traveled and done the sorts of things that you're looking forward to.
What do you mean by that? Can you explain
well,
what would be different?
My wife and I recently were on a trip that included a stop in Athens, Greece. And of course, they have the beautiful Acropolis and the Parthenon on top, and it's really great. But if you've been there, you know it's at the top of a great big hill. And we looked at those steps and we went, not going to do it. And the same thing happens if you have, the Grand Canyon on your bucket list and you want to walk down to the Grand Canyon and walk back up. Well, you might want to think about taking a donkey, maybe. So do a realistic assessment of, is anything changed for you since pre-COVID up until now that you might want to consider and at least modify or give consideration of what it is you're planning to do.
So that'd be good advice no matter what, as we continue to age, always to reassess where we're at. Yeah.
Just a bit on that because I went to a Zoom to today. The Parthenon in Greece, did you know that it has an elevator? And it was an elevator. So that was news to me too. We had to search for it, but it's there.
And now I'm going to throw in the plug coming from me on the demand side. That's a really, really good example of the phrase that I've heard from other people, that the internet is for looking and travel agents are for booking.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, if I had been working with a travel agent for this trip, I'd have known that, but I didn't.
One
Excellent.
more time, and I like that. So The internet is
Is-
looking.
It's for booking, and travel agents are for booking.
Okay.
I love that
That phrase.
Take it to the office.
So let's talk about some low-cost travel, things here locally in our own backyard that maybe we overlook or not aware of. What are some of the things we can do here that are maybe free to very inexpensive?
We're going to talk about the local travel around the United States. Pat is the best one to answer that because she's the one that handles those tours. We're more distant.
Distant? Okay, well, we'll come back to you. Let's start with the
Okay.
local in our backyard. Thank you, Joanne. So Patty, let's talk about things.
So we're talking local, low cost. What can we do that we do?
What's some of the things people here may not even have done?
So hours are from the area. Okay, almost half. So a lot of you women that these areas are there to explore. So we also know is known for its events, its large events. So we got August nights, the balloon races, the cook-off. So those events are always open to you. You can go visit those if you'd like. And then we've got Lake Tahoe, about 10 minutes away, depending on which way you can go. We're renowned. People come from all over the world to visit Tahoe. And we've got some beautiful trails out there if you want to just take a half mile walk up to a couple of days if you'd like. So Lake Tahoe is open to you. Museums are good. When we first arrived here in '94, I remember looking at the newspaper and I said, there's your museums and there's museums. What are you talking about? So museum is definitely brought in some wonderful speakers and programs. There's this history. I'm not sure if you know the history that we have in before San Francisco, before Sacramento, it was Virginia City, and there's so much history there. And then, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about the city of Newman, Park and Recreation. They've begun to put out day tours. Expensive, $35, $35 a day for the day trip. And they run once a month. So Reno Park and Rec, take a look at that.
What are some of the things they do? So they're day trips?
They're day trips. So let me see, it depends upon the time of year,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So in August, we went up to Lake Tahoe for the Young Shakespeare program. Let me see. And then the next month we went and did some berry picking. The next month we went up to Virginia City and rode the train. This month we're gonna head down to the museum, the Indian Museum that's down there. I forgot what it's called. And what that's called? Start in the museum. Thank you very much. And then we're gonna do a Christmas tour in December. Yeah. So yeah, those are, and it's only $35. And if you qualify, you can get a scholarship. But you know what? There's so much. Just take a ride. Just take a 20, 30-minute ride out, get a cup of coffee, and then you can walk the Truckee River. There's a lot to see. Yeah.
Speaking of Truckee, you mentioned just taking Amtrak to Truckee, having
Oh, yeah, that's the Amtrak. I don't know if anybody's ever done that. So,
taking the Amtrak.
Amtrak, yeah. Was it in time?
Was it on time?
So you want to make sure your schedule's open. But yeah, you can hop on a train out of Reno, go to Truckee, and then catch the eastbound train back. Yeah.
And then what are some of the other tours like you've organized that are either a day or multi-day that are really popular? That are still close by, they're within a day.
Yes. So our day tours, usually when it comes to the tours, if I can offer entertainment and education, it's like a win-win. Yeah, so I tend to put those two pieces together. So when it comes to day tours, I think our most popular would be Shakespeare, Lake Tahoe. And I'm not a Shakespeare person. I get bored and I want to fall asleep. So I go to we do the Broadway shows. So they did Mamma Mia last summer. Now that worked out really well because no one really wants to drive back late at night. Yeah, 11 o'clock. So that's where we could make it work. We did go see Hamilton when I was in San Francisco before anybody could get new tickets. So again, if we can offer something that is not easy for others to get, it tends to work. We just came off a 3-night, 4-day tour, visiting all of Northern Nevada. And if you're familiar with Northern Nevada, it's in the middle of nowhere. Right? And no one wanted to take their car out there because they wouldn't know what was going to happen, right? So this is a real popular tour. We put a geologist on board. We had a great time, put a lot of miles under our belt, but beautiful, beautiful scenery. So if we can offer entertainment and education and find a sweet spot where you really can't do it on your own, you need an expert, you'll come with us.
Excellent. Having seen Patty just for these 10 minutes, do you think her tours would probably be fun? Yeah, I think so too. But Ken,
I want to add to that other places that are close by. Carson City, with all of the state museums that there are down there. Virginia City. Remember when the thing used to come on at the beginning of the Bonanza TV show, and Hoss and Dad would always go into Virginia City? Well, that's the Virginia City. And we spent with a fellow that we knew who was not an expert, but he just did it because he had an interest in it. We spent about 3 hours at the Virginia City Cemetery and looking at where and how people were buried in different locations and what their tombstones looked like. You could tell stuff about the economics, about the feelings about different groups of people, whether it was the Chinese people working in the mines or the Masonic people, or all of the different things. And that was all because we went to as exciting a place as the Virginia City Cemetery.
and how much did that cost, Ken?
Cost about, well, I don't know, I don't want to say how much gas costs now, but that's all it costs you, is just the gas to get up there and get back, and it's very close.
Maybe pack a lunch in case you get lost in the cemetery.
Oh, right.
Did you find out where the madam was buried in the cemetery?
I'm not answering that.
There's one madam only buried in the Virginia City Cemetery.
See how interesting it can be?
I know, because back in the 1800s, what else did they have but miners and ladies for the night?
So-
I wouldn't know that, but someone told me once.
So I challenge you all between now and the next seminar to report back next month where the madam is located within the cemetery. Little field trip up to Virginia City. I think it was you, Patty. You mentioned 2 other organizations that are great, very inexpensive here locally to be able to mix with other people. So if you're on your own and you want to.
Yeah. So if you're looking to travel with a group, or you're looking to get some information, there's a couple of great organizations here in Reno. One is called OLLI, OSHA Lifelong Learning Institute. They're based out of UNR. Great organization. They do trips or presentations. Another, again, is the City of Reno, Park and Rec. We're beginning to wrap up with them. If you're interested, if you're a hiker and you want to do some hiking, and you want to be with, again, a small group and get some good ideas on where to go, there's the local Sierra Club, which is good for you. There's also, it's called Meet Up, if anyone's familiar with that. It's I belong to, it's called Women of a Certain Age, and it's all women our age. Sorry. And we get together and go do things together. So, yeah. So
It's online. So
online, yeah, meet up
On
online.
the internet, if you go to meetup.com, you'll see all sorts of groups you could join, all sorts of interests.
Yeah.
The other one you mentioned, I think, Patty, was the Newcomers Club. Was that correct?
Oh, yes, newcomers. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah. So newcomers, it's a great group to be, a great group of people. Usually the newcomers, it came back from the day when you were new to the community and they would come and do something to your door. That's kind of the concept. Yeah. It's kind of moved into a little bit more than that. So it's just basically they're looking if something's changed in your life. So whether you've just moved into the area, you are now single or widowed, or something has happened in your life, or you just want to be a part of them. I couldn't hear them saying no. So it's called Newcomers. Great group to be a part of. Yeah, free to join.
So you just need to be new to the group, not necessarily new to the area. Perfect. Not free to join.
Oh, I apologize. You're right. There's a membership. I apologize. Yeah.
I'm guessing it's pretty inexpensive though. 35 for a year. That's pretty good deal. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that information. So Joanne, let's jump down to you if we can.
Sure.
What are your top 2 to 3 bucket list, must do kind of trips that people come to you to do?
What's going on right now is they're looking for more inexpensive trips. It was really Mexico, the Caribbean. Hawaii is very popular right now. It's not the cheapest, but airfare right now in Hawaii has been pretty reasonable. The thing is, airfare is just you got to search for it, for good airfare when you can go and get the good deals. That's where I'm going to make a plug here. A travel agent comes in handy because they don't charge you until you travel, so you don't have to pay anything to them. They work for you. I'm sorry, but anyway, we also look at foreign travel. Right now, the American dollar is so competitive with the foreign currency that now is a time to look at going into the foreign countries, because you have a good, better dollar amount exchange than you do on the foreign exchange. So therefore, it makes it more economically to travel now into the European countries.
So just on that, if I can ask, if I wanted my money to go the furthest, what would be the best value for money in terms of places around the world I could go, taking into account currency? Where could I live like a king for, a week? Or yeah, without spending an absolute Spain? Spain, if you want?
Flags into Spain and Portugal right now, because it's people are finding out they can retire economically. Of course, Mexico, you're taking a chance when you go down there, because you know what goes on in Mexico is you read it on the news all the time. Besides, we're coming into Texas, so we don't care.
So could I travel to Mexico safely? If I wanted to go to Mexico, safe way to do it?
Actually, you can travel to Mexico. That's one of my favorite places to go. I love the Cancun. Going to Cancun and all those. You can, what you're looking for is, some of you will always look for the economical hotels, and some will want the higher end. They have them all down there on the coast, down there in the Cancun area. It's a beautiful place, right on the beach. I would say there's some inland countries, areas in Mexico that no one's ever discovered that are beautiful. You just need to do some research, and like Ken said, if you go on the internet, you can search for anything and find it. You call us and we can get you deals. It doesn't have to be me, because I can't get anybody any deals.
Well, I think you just hit it there, though. You guys have got the expertise, because Annette and I have looked at like going to Mexico. We go online, we're just overwhelmed with 3 million options and not knowing one from the next, and whether we're going to get mugged going from the airport or how to do it safely. Yeah, so.
All of our travel agents have done a lot of traveling. It's a choice to go to. If they take their families, then they feel very safe. So it was fabulous, and going to islands and everything. Down there to see.
Thank you, Joanne. Ken, do you have some favorite places people should maybe have on their bucket list, or do you have something on your bucket list yet to do that you?
I've got a big bucket. So, we've got a number of things in mind that we would like to do, but I wanted to get back to something that was just said about do you feel safe? And that's where research and working with a travel agent can give you a realistic idea of what's going on, because what you read in the newspaper and what you're going to experience may be vastly different. On this recent trip that my wife and I were on, we had 3 days in Israel, where we had 2 days in Jerusalem and 1 day in Bethlehem. And Bethlehem is in the Palestinian controlled area. And everybody's asking, well, did you feel safe? Did you feel safe? Well, guess what? Most of the well that is used in the Palestinian area and Israel has been abandoned. And the differentiation now is a chain link fence with some barbed wire on top, and it has periodically gates. There's not even a guard shack there, and people move freely from Israel into the Palestinian controlled area. We went through a checkpoint. There wasn't anybody in the guard shack. So did we feel safe? I tell you, we felt a lot safer there than we did in Philadelphia. So again, that's where people would have experience in those areas can really let you know what the real story is, and not necessarily what you might be reading or experiencing online.
Thank you, Ken.
Can I add just one thing for the US? I forgot to mention that the river cruises in the United States are excellent and a good price.
We're going to
And
get
they-
to those in a moment.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's good. But the question I had was, when am I too old to travel? What is the magic age? Like, okay, travel's no longer an option. 120, perfect. So you officially from Ken 122, then we need to slow things down.
We have travelers as old as 90 traveling and probably do a great job. And when I say do a great job, that doesn't mean they're not working, but they travel without any mishaps or any illness or anything. But they like to do their traveling on cruise ships because they don't have to check in and out of hotels and that type of thing, and they'll stay in one place, and yet they're moving all the time and get to see everything. Destinations.
You had something?
I did. And Joan's correct. Up until we've had people up to 93, 95. And what's wonderful is that, well, especially in the United States, there's the ADA compliant. Every place has to be by the American Disabilities Act. So ramps have to be in place wherever you go. But the airlines are really good, whether you're traveling with oxygen, if you want to bring a scooter, there's all kinds of ways to accommodate. And we have a lot of folks too, they want to go on a trip. So, and if they say, Patty, I don't know if I can do that much walking. Can I just sit and look at the beautiful trees and the birds? And I said, yes. And then we'll come back and pick you up on the way. So never hold you back. There's way too much to see.
Perfect. Thank you, Patty. So Joanne, I know you're super excited to talk about cruises. So I have a slide up behind you on cruises. So let's talk about cruises.
Okay.
So you made the point, which I think was really important, about why cruises are popular. Can you repeat that?
It was a reason that cruises are so important. It's like you're checking into your hotel and you have to check out in the morning. So there's no bag packing every day and you get picked up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You check in, your room is there for the whole stay. Like on ocean cruising, they're more, your destination is from one area to another, and you have cruising on the water, where on the river cruises, you are stopped every day and you get out and tour. Since you see all the destinations, and you can take most of these tours that you take on the river cruises is included in the cruise. So you stop, you go, say you fly into Amsterdam, you get on a river cruise, and then you go down the Rhine Okay, every day you stop at a different place and you see different things. You can tour castles. You can go on bicycle rides through the countryside. You can go wine tasting. There's all kinds of things to do. What you need to do is, what do you want to do, and decide what country you want to go, because every country has a river cruise on it. The ocean cruises is all in-house. Everything you do is your dining, your entertainment, what you do. They built these ships so big that you don't lack for anything to do until you may be out on the ocean 2 or 3 days before you come to a port, and then you can spend the day touring that port. So it's all, what do you want? What, the ocean cruises are less costly than the river cruises, because you've got more people on the ocean cruises that cover the expense, where on a river cruise you have maybe 150 to 250 people, depending on the ship.
Thank you so much, Joanne. So Ken, you wanted to talk a little bit, actually, if you could address, because I know you've done both, you've done river and, so from a consumer or traveler's perspective, what do you notice the difference between the two? So a big ship with 8,000 of your friends sounds like it's less expensive than the river one, but what are some other differences?
If you've ever been on a cruise, you'll know that the first day that you're on the cruise, they do the lifeboat drill and all of that sort of stuff. So on an ocean cruise, it's very involved. On a river cruise, they tell you where the life jackets are, and then they just tell you to go up to the top deck, because you'll never sink down low enough in the river to get wet. But on a serious note, the river cruises are more intimate. They're very destination oriented. You might even get tired of seeing so many castles if you do it on the Rhine and whatever, if that's possible. But one of the neat things that they have in reference to what you were saying about the ADA, there is no ADA in Europe as an example, but on the river cruises, they have tours almost entirely on all of the different lines, where they have 3 levels of each tour that is included. They have an active for active people. They have your regular tour. And then we have, what's it called, Davinia? No, slow walkers tour. So you're not going to be, if you've ever been on a group tour, everybody else is racing ahead, and you, for whatever reason, are walking a little bit slow, and everybody's always looking at you like, I wish you would hurry it up, because you're holding the whole group back. That won't happen on a river cruise, because they have the 3 levels of activity for most of the tours. Other than that, so understanding that there's other differences between ocean and river cruises. On the ocean cruise, you're going to have big shows for entertainment after dinner. On a river cruise, you're going to be lucky if you have somebody playing the piano.
But both are equally good.
Absolutely.
And if I haven't been on a cruise, which is there, would you advise one over the other? Should I start with a river cruise or an ocean cruise? Does it matter?
It's all everyone's preference. I prefer the river cruises because I like that intimate. You meet a lot of people, all the people, and you're all friendly, and you're all doing things together, and you go out on tours together. Where on the big ships with all those people, if you get to know 10 people, you're lucky. So I mean, what are you looking for? If you're looking for independence, the ocean cruise is great, because you don't need to know all these people. I mean, I've known people. I had a friend that was on a cruise that was on the cruise with Whoopi Goldberg, Whoopi, whatever her last name is. And I would have, I won't say anymore, but.
Well, I do have a question. If I get seasick, some of us are prone to seasickness. I guess that's only on the ocean then, is it? Or can I get seasick on a river one? Is one better than the other if you have
experience and have a tendency to get seasick? I get sick on river cruises. I do on ocean cruises. I get a little. So probably all depends on the person themselves, what their tolerance is, and when they do it. But
So maybe river is better. I've never heard river sick, only here. So, yes.
Should kind of get yeah, is going through the locks.
Very good.
So
Anything else we want to talk about in terms of cruises before we move on?
I cruises. I cruise.
Curious, who's had the privilege? Yes.
Oh well, so I should be telling us what it's like.
A lot of
Um,
experience here.
That's right. It's such a personal choice. I love the big ships. I like the party. I like the Broadway shows. I like the zip lining. I like the bar. I like all of it. So that's where I tend to focus more is on the large cruise ships. And I'm not sure if maybe most of you are aware, but we've got Princess, and I'm not sure if another line as well pulls out of San Francisco. So you don't have to take a flight. You could just drive to San Francisco on the terminal and then cruise from there. Whether we're heading north or we're heading south. And then I also found on cruising that the Pacific Coast line is very rough, because it's coming down from the Bering Sea and it's heading south. So we don't really feel it heading south, but you really feel it heading from Mexico to San Francisco. If you want to take a cruise to Alaska, and instead of going to San Francisco, fly to Seattle and catch the ship out of Seattle. The water is smoother and the ride is more comfortable. So that's would be because you can really have a rough one going up the coast.
Thank you. So if you could just write down the questions, and at about 11 o'clock we'll open it up to audience questions. But is there 24-hour food on a river cruise? And Ken's going no.
No.
No. Or alcohol? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The food or the alcohol? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's jump to the next thing we wanted to talk about. My little clicker works. So options other than staying in a hotel or other pre-arranged accommodation that typically a travel agent would help you with are things such as Airbnb and VRBO. For those who aren't familiar, it's basically where you're renting someone's house for a period of time, wherever it might be in the world. And there's some good things about that and maybe some not so good things. So who would like to start with that? Some of the downsides that we may not be aware of, because on the surface it always sounds great, but things don't go quite as planned.
What we have found is that we do not recommend it because there's so many scams out there in the world, and there's so many people that will rip you out, charge you something, and you get there and you find it's just in shambles. I mean, just a wreck or dirty or not what they recommend. But that's what we feel from our point of view at how we look at it. People who experience it might have a different feeling. If any of you have, you might have a good one, you might have a bad one. Our recommendation is we do have places that we can set you up with that can put you in touch with those kind of things and set it for you. But that's how we feel. That doesn't mean that's not what you've experienced. So everyone has to make their own decision. Right, Ken?
Absolutely.
And before I come to you, Ken, I want to hear Patty, and then I'm going to finish with you on this topic. So did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, so we're talking verbal
Sure.
so what we can do
Maybe half.
okay, a little less.
You've used one. I'm curious. Put your hands back up if you wouldn't mind, if you've used either of those. Keep your hand up if it wasn't a great experience. Was not a good experience. Put your hand up if you would never use them again, Airbnb, VRBO. No, so people overall think it's good, but there's probably some things we need to make sure we do before we hand over our money.
Right. And so Airbnb, we use it as a family or friends. Yeah, so we be together, it's a family reunion. We rent a house, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths. And it works out really well. But if we're just moving for 1 or 2 nights, I prefer not to do the Verbo. Because there's a lot of fees attached onto it. So they could advertise $99 a night, sounds great. But when the final bill comes through, you've got cleaning fee, taxes, resorts, the like. Plus, you also have to do a cleaning fee, where with Joanne's program, and I'm very familiar with your program, it's like Marriott, large hotels have reserved these beautiful, beautiful homes specifically designed for travel. But Airbnb, so the difference between Airbnb and Vrbo, Airbnb is a little eclectic, for lack of a better word. So you're going to find Airbnb a little less expensive and a little more in the remote area, where Vrbo is a little bit more and like Nashville, or DC or the like. So again, it's a personal choice.
Absolutely.
And I've been burned. I have to admit, I've walked into a house going, oh my God, everything's broken. Where's the silverware? And so when you are looking, make sure that the reviews always just take the time, look at the reviews and see what kind of host is there and listen to what people have said or read what they have said. Always go to the worst. Always read at least 2 worst and 2 of the best, and that'll give you an all around. So.
And you probably don't want to be the first reviewer.
No.
No.
Yeah, you want them to be doing this for a while. Yeah, move on.
Yeah.
There's plenty of Vrbos and Airbnbs.
Ken?
Well, kind of piggybacking on what you just said, there's red flags that you can look for if that property listing doesn't have any reviews or has 2 reviews and they've been renting out since 2015, something wrong there. Look for consistency in reviews. If they have nothing but good or nothing but bad, well, nothing but bad, you're probably on safe ground. But look for consistency, and I'm going to emphasize so that you minimize your disappointment of reading the fine print. And I hope it's not going to be the first time that you hear it from me today, is to read the fine print. On a recent VRBO that we were in the central coast of California this last May, and it was really nice. And they had a 70-inch TV in the living room and a 40-inch TV in the bedroom. There was only one problem. They weren't connected to anything. The one in the bedroom was connected to a DVD player, and they had lots of nice cartoons for the kids or DVDs. And the one in the living room, when we asked about it, we were renting from younger people, and they said, no, just put in your password for your streaming service. And there was a generational difference. Not that we don't have streaming service, but I didn't bring the passwords or anything. What we wanted was local things like weather and activities that were going on, and we wanted that from a local station. Now, they were very nice. He actually had an old pair of rabbit ears in the garage that he hooked up, and it worked. And I suppose I could have gotten that information off my phone, but it just wasn't what I was thinking of. And I like to think that I planned carefully and read the fine print, and it didn't dawn on me that when it said TVs, they didn't say cable TV. So be very aware of the fine print. And the other thing, which is related to something that we'll get to later, which is trip insurance and that sort of stuff, is cancellation periods, and is it refundable, and how much of it is refundable. And I'm a big proponent, having learned some lessons the hard way. Even though it may cost you a little more on the front end, the more refundable it is, and it's close to the date of your trip, the better off you're going to be. Because even if you have travel insurance or other things, there are things that may come up that force you to want to change or even cancel your trip. A family friend or a relative gets sick. Well, travel insurance isn't going to help you with that. Or your grandson just informed you that you're going to get your first great grandchild. Well, you can't anticipate that. But those are the sorts of events that if your trip is, or substantially is, refundable up until a very close period to when the trip takes place, it's worth, in my opinion, it's worth the extra money.
Well said. So given you brought up travel insurance, let's talk about travel insurance. I think that was the next thing we wanted to cover. Did you want to start with that, Ken? What do we kind of need to know? Well,
there's commercially available with most of the people that are traveling. Oh, am I fading?
You're not wonky, Ken, the microphone.
I was going to say the microphone might not be wonky. It might be, but anyway, there's travel insurance and there's trip protection, which my colleagues here will contrast. But again, the final thing is your whatever it is that you're opting for, the travel insurance or trip protection. Are you going to get money back? Are there exclusions that might affect your situation? Are you not going to get money back, but you're going to get travel credit instead? So I'm sure they'll have much more to say about it, and we all learned, and I hope you did too, a lot of lessons with COVID.
That a microphone? So I'm going to steal Ken's microphone just for a moment. Joanne, what would you like to share with the audience that we should know regarding travel insurance?
We highly recommend travel insurance. In fact, at Quell Travel, we will not book a tour for you and if you don't want the insurance unless you sign a waiver saying that you have accepted the fact that you do not want travel insurance. Because travel insurance, especially in our senior years, is very necessary in case something happens. Like it will cover your medical evacuation. That means if you're overseas or somewhere and you need to get home, it will get you home. It also is tailored for all your needs. So we have the information, including medical flight delays. It helps you with the flight delays, missing baggage, and medical issues can be costly. We've had several people who have been tested with COVID over the last couple of years and has been hospitalized in a foreign country. With the medical insurance, they were all covered. Or if they were confined to the hotel, the insurance covered their hotel bill. So I can only say you don't know what's going to happen, but if you have the insurance, you're sure going to be at ease when it does. If it does happen to you, you're covered. That's our advice from my company.
Sounds like good advice to me. Patty?
Yeah, trip and travel insurance. We call it TTP. That's what we call it. It's like a Murphy's Law in a sense. You know what? If it's going to happen, it will. One of those things, right? So it's, and it's like if you're not insured, something's going to happen. If you're insured, nothing's going to happen, right? So, and it's also like, okay, what's going to make you sleep well at night? I put out $5,000 for this tour. Is $250 going to help me sleep at night? Do I feel more comfortable? Because yes, you are covered when you're on tour, but it also covers prior to your travel. Yes. And there's all kinds of insurance out there. We'll walk you through it because it can be very confusing. I mean, I think I had to take like 10 seminars to figure out this TTP program. But yes, it's recommended. But if you choose not to, then you're okay. You don't think anything's going to happen. But I'm telling you, sure enough, it's going to happen. You can also get insurance. Let's say you travel a lot. Yeah, you do 4 or 5 trips a year. There's travel insurance out there that you could buy for up to 6 people in your party that you could buy for once a year, and it covers all your tours. So there's a lot of options out there, and I highly recommend it. Yes, there's nothing worse, right?
Oh.
When someone calls you, Joanne, when someone calls you and goes, I can't go, and it's a day before the trip, and their money is gone. It's not like we're keeping the money in a little office. The money is gone. It's to air, it's to hotel, it's to the motor coach company. So there's nothing worse. So
Could I have one of you just touch on, Ken used the terms, like when I'm booking my flight or whatever it is, there's always that option. Do you want travel protection? The difference between that travel protection versus travel insurance, you were saying about whoever wants to take it.
Travel protection is typically offered by a cruise line. And it's less expensive than travel insurance in a number of cases. But as a remedy whatever keeps you from taking the trip, the only thing you're going to get might be a future travel credit. And it may have an expiration date on it that you have only 12 months or 24 months.
We'll have an expansion. I can almost guarantee that.
So again, what I'm going to say another time is please check the fine print. Also check the fine print if you bought travel protection and you were going to be taking a trip on Crystal Cruise Lines, guess what? You're out of luck. They filed for bankruptcy. That trip protection makes you a creditor. And it doesn't, where you're buying it from, sometimes will not insure you against that company
Mhm.
going out of business. So if you buy it from a cruise line and they go out of business, you would not be covered depending how they've made that arrangement.
You're so right. So you can't take a chance. I know a couple that was going on a big event overseas and denied the insurance, and it was over a $10,000 trip. And we had a family emergency that they could not go. We lost it all. So something you just really need to take under consideration is talk about it, look at it, then make your decision. Let someone give you some guidance. These travel agents, and I don't mean just my travel, the ladies I work with, any travel agency, these people know what they're talking about. Just it doesn't cost anything to have a conversation with them. Good advice. They really do.
Thank you, Joanne. Let's talk about the next thing. I think, Ken, you were going to touch on it, travel guides. You wanted to share some information regarding.
So many resources on the internet for you to look at, and some of them are obvious, but I'll repeat them regardless of what location you're going to, whether it's domestically or a national park or internationally. Every single place, I shouldn't say every single place, but almost every single place has a tourist bureau, and you can access those on the internet. And they can be a source of rounding out and giving you additional information of things that you might want to see and do and experience at these different places. And the more you can do that kind of research on your own on the internet, the more the travel agents are going to be able to do for you, because you will have already some of the things that you go, oh, I think I might like to do something like this or that if it's in a national park, and they will tell you quickly whether that's going to be included on the trip that they're offering, or if that's something that's going to be easily doable, or that it might be too physically strenuous for you to do. The more you can do as far as research, the tourist bureaus, chat rooms, vacations2go.com is a good source of looking at all the sorts of different ocean and river cruises. CruiseCritic.com is another place to look for information. But again, I want to emphasize internet's for looking and travel agents are for booking.
Just say that website one more time, Ken.
Vacations2go.com. CruiseCritic.com. CruiseCritic is.
Time's up, Ken.
All right. I'll just talk loud.
Actually, no, we need you because it won't come up in the recording.
Oh, okay. I keep breaking microphones. Is that a sign that I'm saying the wrong thing? Cruise Critic is kind of neat that you can meet up with people on the internet who are going to be on your ocean cruise, as an example, and you contact them and you're able to find out more about some of your fellow cruisers before you leave. And in some cases, some of these people will have experience or knowledge of an area. One example we had is we were on a cruise, and it was a cruise that stopped in Egypt, and it was wonderful. We had it was going to stay overnight in Egypt so that you could get out to the pyramids and the Sphinx and all that sort of stuff. It was, if we would have taken the what was offered from the cruise ship, it would have been somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 per person because it was overnight and so if you've ever been there. That's your cruise critic. Private another couple to join us, so it was 6 of us. Security escort with us the entire time that we were there. Tip, it cost us about $260 a person.
For a
So-
personalized tour.
Yeah, for a personalized tour, and it was fantastic. So Cruise Critic is kind of a unique thing if you are wanting to do cruises to find out people that you might be cruising with ahead of time.
Thank you. So Patty, I wanted to ask you, we talked about what if we can't travel, whether it's financial, physical, we're homebound. What are some of the other options for us to still get to enjoy what's out there? You had some suggestions.
Yeah, but I have a question for you.
Sure,
Did you bring that virtual thingy?
I did, if we
Well,
have
then-
time.
Oh, okay.
Virtual.
Anyway, so things to do sorry, I got distracted. Things to do that you can do from home, basically from your chair, right? So and you're just not up to going out. There is it's the internet. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the internet, I encourage you, the more you use it, the easier it becomes. So for example, we took a group up to Great Basin National Park. Yep. And the Lehman Caves are there. So we were unable to go in as a group for certain reasons, but they had 3 beautiful 10-minute virtual tours that you could take. It was just like you were there. Yes. So also there's National Geographic is available on TV, and just some great ways to kind of go experience it from your home. Also lots of reading, and I think that's all we touched on, right? And then we were going to talk about something virtual, and we all laughed at Brett when we told us this story because we're too old to understand this technology, right?
Never
Or
too
we'll
old.
fall over.
Never too old, just need some help. So for those of you who aren't aware, I just wanted to mention this one very briefly. Has anyone ever seen one of these headsets? They came out, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago. It's called a virtual reality headset. So you can see this young lady here on this picture on the slide, and she's wearing the headset, and it gives you the ability to go anywhere in the world, pretty much, and feel like you're actually there, other than wind, perhaps. You can't feel the wind, but you can go to, the pyramids that Ken was talking about. You can go to Greece. You can go to your street that you used to live on, see what it looked like 10 years ago. You can go and look at a neighbor's house. And you basically are wearing this headset, and children, grandchildren can help you. I've taken my parents and my in-laws on tours. So they wear a headset, I wear a headset. I'm doing the controlling. They tell me where they want to go in the world. And I do the pointing and clicking, and suddenly there we are. We're in the middle of the Swiss Alps looking around. So with the headset on, and you can do this either standing up or just sitting in your sofa, you can look down, you can look up, around, and you're seeing it as if you were just there. There's no way to show you a video of it or for you to try to explain it to do justice. You just have to experience it. So yeah, you can go to the street where you grew up and walk up and down the street and look at the neighbors' houses. Just totally looking around as if you were there. That's the best way I can explain it. So Annette and I were talking this morning, how do we give people that experience if it's something that's of interest? We own several of these. If you would like to just try it out, I don't know if this is a bad idea or not, but we always try to help. We'd be happy to set up a session and have you come to our office and help you put on a headset, and you tell us where you want to go, just so you can explore what it's like. And then maybe you can talk to your adult children or grandchildren and say, this thing is really cool, we're getting it for Christmas. And but people who are bed bound, have mobility issues, if you read the reviews, it's been like a lifesaver to them because they get to go and do things that they would never otherwise get to do, to stand there at the pyramids or stand on a cruise ship. You can actually be on the deck of a cruise ship and looking around because people are taking virtual video of it, so you can kind of experience it. So just show of hands, would that be of interest to anyone? And if it's not a few, okay, maybe a manageable number, maybe not.
I got a tough time figuring out about that.
So if you would like that experience, we'll organize it maybe for some time in December. Just right at the top of your yellow evaluation form, just put on the letters there, VR, virtual reality, VR. And we'll set up some sessions somehow. I don't know how we'll do it. And we'll just book times and have you come in and maybe like 15 minutes, just so you can see what it is, kind of experience it. It is really neat, cool experience. So I think we want to jump to Q&A. Just before we do, open it up to questions. Our next seminar, our last one for the year, is The Truth About Your Wellbeing on December the 15th. And we're going to talk about what is wellbeing, why is it so important, irrespective of our age. If we don't feel that we're still vibrant and energetic, what are some things that we can change? And how do we keep our wellbeing as we all continue to age? So we have some really cool speakers who are going to be here with us in December. And January the 19th will be our first seminar for next year, and it's The Truth About ... Yeah. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? We're working on finalizing the topics at the moment, but that's the January date for those people who would like to have something on their calendar, January the 19th. And I think next year it's pretty much always going to be the third Thursday of the month. I think we've managed next year to have it always to be the third Thursday. And in December, we'll have the schedules and the dates. What else? Oh, I just wanted to say a big thank you. A lot of people took tear-off sheets and have posted them around town and so forth, and people have reported back that we've seen the tear-off sheets. Obviously, we're at the end of the year. It doesn't make sense to continue to do that, but thank you for those who distributed those so others could learn about the Truth series. Oh, quarterly newsletter. So who has received our newsletter? Some of you might have. Yeah, so we started doing a newsletter earlier this year. Hands up if you find some informative articles in it. Yeah. So it's been really well received. And someone said, well, who do we send it to? And our answer is we're not quite sure. We spoke to some people, we put them on the list and they love it. And it's like, well, shouldn't you give that to everybody? So rather than trying to ask you, well, do you want this quarterly newsletter? We're just going to send it to you. You're going to get stuck with it. But our promise is always not to market to you, send spam stuff or anything. So we're very conscious of that. So we're going to just start sending it out. If you don't want to receive it, just let us know and we'll just take you off the list. We just decided that's easier than trying to ask everybody, and then new people come and then we've got to remember to ask them. So we're just going to start sending it. If you don't like it, just tell us to take it off and we won't be offended at all. In fact, we'll get to save postage and I can spend it on chocolates. So yeah, so who are my mic runners? Tom, can you introduce yourself? You're going to take my right-hand side of the room. Who's
I'm
my mic?
Tom McDonald with Mutual of Omaha Reverse Mortgage. If I were to ask, I would suspect that most of you say, I don't need a reverse mortgage. Perhaps you could take a look at the flyer I have on my table out by the coffee maker. It says, I don't need a reverse mortgage. And there's some things you might not have thought about it. It might happen in the future. And another article says, did you know? Some stuff you could have a clue about.
Thank you, Tom. Logan.
Hey, I am Logan with Safety Squads. We do home maintenance for seniors, keep them safe in their home, make sure that you guys aren't doing risky chores that you may not be able to do anymore, or as well as you shouldn't. So yeah, see us outside and we'll go from there.
Right. Thank you, Logan. So who has questions for our panelists? If you can put up your hand, Tom, can you go to the first person? And we'll just alternate as we always do, left to right. And Logan's found the first person there. So down the back, we'll get to you guys here.
Do you have any suggestions about traveling with grandchildren? Any tour companies that are especially good at planning that type of trip?
Great question. Who would like to take that?
Actually, traveling with children is not a bad idea. What you need to do is, what are the ages? If they're young, you need to pick out areas within the United States. Probably if they're older, you want to experience Europe. What do you want for them? Children are easy to travel with. They really are. It's adults.
So the answer is yes, and go talk to a travel agent like yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be able to help.
Yeah, can I step on that just a little bit? So there are tours that are specifically designed for grandparents and grandchildren. And so it incorporates, what they would enjoy, what the grandparent would enjoy. And then on any of our tours that we offer, children of all ages are welcome. In fact, we enjoy, yes, because we get to hang out with the little ones. So.
Cool, wonderful. Actually, I saw there's a lot of questions, so I'm going to ask my panelists if you can keep your answers short, if you don't mind, and they're going to hang around. So if you have individual questions you'd like to ask, yeah, please, they're here for you for 20 minutes when we finish and come and answer, just so we can get through as many hands as I saw. So I see Danielle back there.
This question is for Joanne. What is your opinion on the travel agencies online, that they've got offer all the tours and all that? I just took a tour with Vantage. I think I was lucky because nothing happened, but I could see problems.
The thing about doing it online with someone and a live travel agent is the live travel agent, you're going to know who you're dealing with, the fact that they have traveled in most countries, and they're only going to do what you want to give you. And on the face-to-face contact, I listen to these travel agents with the clients at their desk, and they have researched every detail of what they want to give them what they want at the cost they want to pay. Well, online, you're not going to get that service as personal as one-on-one. Is that what?
Yeah, you guys haven't talked about river cruises in the United States. Could you hit that topic?
Yes, we have river cruises in the States. We have the Mississippi, north and south, and then we have the Columbia River. Yep.
American cruises, those out of the United States, they even have one out of Oregon, to the American River, the Snake River, I'm sorry. It's American Cruise Lines.
Excellent. I wasn't aware of that.
My husband has a service dog, well-documented service dog, trained. What are our limitations for travel?
Are there any limitations with the service dog that you guys are aware of?
Not that I'm aware of at all. The fact, did you want to answer?
So a dog removed on a flight, but on a cruise, so we were not aware of any restrictions. If you've got a
Yeah, on a flights it's altogether a different story. You never know what a flight attendant's going to do. Seriously. Oh, it is. Okay. Thank you. I didn't know that.
Thank you. Yeah, so if a dog misbehaves, obviously the carrier, whether it's a cruise line or an airline, has the right to remove that animal. Yeah, but if you've got a service dog that's well behaved and that sounds like that's a great thing to do. Which side, where do we go last? Which side are we at? Did this side get a turn? Which side? Help me out. We're on this side. Thank you.
Are there many options for single travelers, and what kind of a price break might you get?
Great question. Options for single travels.
Okay, for a single traveler, if you are traveling alone, it's going to be who's going to be on a cruise. If someone else, but that's a risk you're taking by having a roommate. They could keep the cost down, but it is a little more. I couldn't hear you. It's I can't tell. Each cruise line has different policies and different ways of doing things, and we might have one thing going today with one cruise line, and until you just check it out, you don't know. Is it going to be more than a double room would be for two people? I don't think so, but if I said so, and you checked it out and it was, then you would be mad at me.
Yeah, that changes by
Yeah, it does.
offer. There's one cruise line, and I'm not plugging it, but Norwegian Cruise Lines recently has built their their newest ships with solo travelers in mind. And they have smaller cabins at a somewhat reduced price, and they put them all together around a central core. So all the solo travelers are kind of clustered so that they will be able to easily find people to go to dinner with or take trips with. And I'm sure that, again, going to a travel agent, that they'll be able to tell you if you're going to be a solo traveler, what places might be a little bit more attuned to that than others.
Thank you, Ken. Great information. Okay.
I learned today you guys did.
So when I was younger, I stayed at a hostel. Can I hear opinions on staying at hostels internationally, or domestically, at our age?
Yes, I love hostels. Highly recommend them. And when I did it as a kid as well, a couple of years ago, I just experienced it. Hostels.com is where we're gonna go. And it's domestic, international. Highly recommend it. If you get on soon enough, say a year in advance, you can even get a private room for less the cost. Again, watch the fine print, like you mentioned, it's a great way to travel. Love it.
I don't have to be in my 20s.
Yes, I did. I kind of relived my 20s.
You don't have to be in your 20s.
I did it with Costa Rica. I had the best time. But I'm telling you, by the end of 10 days, I was done walking down the hill to go to the bathroom at 3:30 in the morning. So, great way to travel.
Thank you, Patty.
Well, thank you very much for doing this. I'm a female solo traveler and I just learn everything every time I learn something. So Rhodes Scholars they have wonderful program for grandchildren. And I learned the hard way about having a roommate that I didn't know, but my other friend all the time, but I will not have a roommate that I don't know anymore. My question for the panel is Canada. Before the pandemic, I was ready to go across Canada on the train, and the agency is not even offering it, or I guess I can say Rhodes Scholars not offering it anymore. Do you know about a safe way to arrange that train across Canada from Vancouver to Montreal?
I'm going to jump on that.
Please,
Yeah, it's via rail. You're looking for via rail, and you fly into Vancouver or Quebec, one or the other. So you get online, you book your air, and then you go to via rail and you book your train. But if you need an expert, which is why we're here today, you're going to want to contact Quail Travel or Patty's Tours to help you with that, to make sure that you've got the right flight, to make sure that you've got the right, do you want coach? Do you want a suite? So there's a lot there, but yeah, Canada's open for us.
And they're open right now, but the first to close if anything happens. They're just really unpredictable. So you need to check in advance and then have someone who is an expert telling you, directing you and keeping you, because what a travel agent will do is they watch it. They keep a contact on it. And if anything changes, they notify you before you travel. So you're not stranded somewhere or anything happen. So that's why we recommend these tours or well traveled.
So on that,
help you.
so our office, we don't get all these phone calls asking us travel questions. We love talking to you all. Remember, we do real estate. So if it's on travel, so that's why on your handout on the first page, it has the phone number and the website for Patty's Tours and for Quail Travel. If you lose your handout, certainly call us and we'll give you their details, but it is on your handout if you want to follow up with them. Which side of the room are we on next? This side, on the left. Whoever's got the microphone, yeah, go ahead with your question. Oh,
Nope.
Logan's got the microphone.
I'm just.
Well, while we're looking for questions, any on this side with a question? Well, I've answered all the questions. I saw lots of hands at the beginning. Over here.
Patty, you mentioned a women's only group and I didn't catch the name of it.
Yeah, sure. That's on Meetup.
Me-
MEETUP.com. Go to Meetup, and it's called Women of a Certain Age. And I'm gonna warn you, they like to party.
That's okay.
Okay, good. All right.
Is there a man of a certain age? So we're not
Sorry, not my
Not-
interest.
Not your interest. All right, I'm just over here. Tom, one more here.
Thank you. I've traveled extensively and never used a travel agent. After today, I'm rethinking this. Can you tell me how you're paid?
Okay, I can answer. They're actually paid by not you, but by the company they book with. So they get a commission on the cruise or the total package. What each travel agency belongs to is a sister company. And that sister company has set up all these deals and discounts with throughout the world. When you're going to book something, you use the sister company to help you book it where we get a better deal. Not always, but most of the time than if you're doing it online. So then what is the kickback is then the agent gets a 20% commission. And it varies. It could be 12%, could be 18, depending on the company that or who they're booking with. So it's hard to answer that question of exactly how much or who there is one, but it's not the customer who pays it.
So I could be getting your services for free, all your great advice versus for the same price as me trying to go do it all myself.
Yes.
You're saying, yeah.
Yes.
I've done both ways using travel agents and doing my own work, but one of the things that I have realized from travel agents is that if you're planning a trip and you're going a distance and you're going to Europe or you're going to Asia, or you're taking a cruise that might be taking you to South America or something like that, there was a group called consolidators. Am I get that right? They get the airfare, either the cruise lines or the travel agents, and it'll knock the socks off of just about anything that you can get on the internet. We were looking at an airfare recently, and we were trying to figure out whether, and it was a long distance flight over 10 hours. Should we go economy, which we try not to do anymore at our age because it's just so darn long to do those, premium economy and business class. And believe it or not, the difference in cost between premium economy and business class to Amsterdam from Reno was $400. So they have access to those sorts of consolidators that you won't be able to find on the internet, or at least not easily.
Any final questions before we wrap up? Yeah. Let's grab your microphone.
I want to make sure I didn't give the wrong impression that I travel solo, but I always go with a tour. So I want to make sure I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, great way to do it with a tour.
And
Yeah.
Patty tour is great.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
Fantastic. So I'm available if you need a company going on some exotic tour. I can make myself available to come along.
Be our tour manager.
Oh yeah. Someone else is footing the bill. I'm happy to go to all these wonderful places you guys are talking about. So thank you so much for all being here. I hope who learned something today? Who learned something? Yeah, pretty much everybody. Yeah, thank you. So these guys are going to hang around. Feel free to come and ask them questions. But can we give them a round of applause for being here and helping us?